think we're live. All right, we're live. All right, let's talk about this Jazz team, Utah Jazz. So let's get into it here. Before we do, feel free to go and subscribe to this channel. Putting out a lot of NBA videos. Future NFL, college football, college basketball stuff will come in the near future once I got time. So subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. We're gonna be talking about these things right here in the off season, what the Jazz did, salary cap situation, the rotations, and then their win total, kind of what that looks like for them. Doing this for all 30 teams, so feel free to go find your team. And by the end of tomorrow, we'll have all 30 teams. So have fun with it, and let's get started with the Jazz. So let's talk about what they did in the offseason. This team didn't have a whole lot of flexibility of what to do as far as like cap space to sign players. The biggest thing that they needed to figure out was the Mike Conley contract situation and to re-sign him and have him be a part of the team for the next few years. And they did that. There was really no hesitation. They bring back Conley, and that was a big piece for them last season as far as their offense went. The pick and roll that he has with Rudy Gobert is huge, and it's something that the Jazz really execute like almost every single time down the floor when those two players are on the court. So it's a big staple of their offense. They got a better version of Conley last year than what they had in his first year. Once he kind of started, I feel like learning the system a little bit more and a little bit more reps with the team. So Conley was the biggest kind of move in the offseason, if you will. But they did make some signings, and they did make a trade as well. They brought in Rudy Gay, and they brought in Hassan Whiteside. These are two players that came from San Antonio and Sacramento, respectively. And interesting situations for them. Gay's a little bit older, and while I don't know if his impact will be felt in the regular season, I definitely feel like it will be felt in the postseason. And then Hassan Whiteside was a really good player in Miami. Ended up going to Portland for a year and was really good for the Blazers. And then last season he was a part of the Kings, and nobody remembers because they gave him the veteran minimum, and then they also never played him. He also apparently suffered from COVID as well, so he was kind of off. And again, who wants to go play for the Sacramento Kings, to be honest, and have a fun time doing it? I don't think that's even possible to be able to play for the Kings and have a good time. So Whiteside comes to Utah, maybe can show some of the flashes of what he was in Portland and what he was in Miami. They also traded away Eric Pascal. Didn't give up any players in that trade. It was only picks. So Pascal comes from the Warriors, who needed to kind of cut their luxury tax situation down a little bit. They get him, versatile guy, can do a little bit of anything, a little bit of a tweener, needs to maybe improve on his shot a little bit. But ultimately, a guy I think is going to be a fun watch for this team. Jared Butler was also selected with the 40th pick. A lot of people talked about how they had him in the first round and they kind of slipped to the second round, so the Jazz trade back out of the first round and still get a guy who a lot of people thought was a part of like the top 20, top 15 players in this last draft. Losses for the team, nothing huge. A lot of reserve players here like Jarrell Brantley, Juwan Morgan, Matt Thomas, George Niang signed with the Sixers, and Derek Favors was traded to the Thunder. Again, just due to the Jazz's cap situation, which we'll talk about right now. This is where their money is going. So Rudy Gobert and Donovan are the two top highest paid players on the team. Following those two is Mike Conley. Just makes sense, right? Like, you want to pay your best players the highest amount of money. So you don't want to ever be caught in a bad contract situation. I don't think this team is. Now, maybe you could say the Bojan Bogdanovic situation of his contract maybe is a little too high, but it's nothing horrible. I do think it's manageable. And yeah, so Joe Ingles is also the player that I think you would target if you were like trying to make a trade with the Jazz. Expiring contract, coming off a really good year shooting the ball. The only reason I kind of give hesitance to that is just because he's such a beloved player in Utah. Obviously, they're the team that gave him his opportunity to be in the NBA pretty much. And so I don't think that any kind of trade with him is really on the table. Although if you're just looking at from a kind of a numbers and financial standpoint, like he would be like the guy, the ideal dude whose stock is up the most from last season, and see what you can get. Clarkson's next. Clarkson, 3 years left on his deal with a player option the last year, so nothing crazy there. Royce O'Neal is within contract here. Rudy Gay, Azubuike, Pascal, Oni, Hassan Whiteside, Elijah Hughes, Jared Butler, Trent Forrest. So, yeah, I mean, that's their team. Nothing crazy here. I don't really see any bad contracts, and I also don't really see any player that's on the team that they would move off of. I think this team is really just focused on kind of re-upping from last year and a little bit upgrading, retooling, and going into the playoffs again with high expectations. So let's talk about what makes the Jazz great. Hoops Hype here has the projected starting lineups here. Same as last year, so let's run through it real quick. It's Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, Rudy Gobert. Probably one of the better starting fives in the league as far as just versatility through those 5 players. You have your scoring, you have your shooting, you have your defense, you have some playmaking. So you have a lot of different traits here that are good. And then as far as their reserves go, there are Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, Rudy Gay, Hassan Whiteside. With Gay being injured to start the year, he's going to miss, I think, the first roughly month of the season. With him being injured, they'll probably play Eric Pascal a little bit more. They are high on Elijah Hughes. And then there's also that rookie Jared Butler, who I am not sure will get a whole lot of minutes, but he's also kind of within that radar of a player who can, maybe get some run this year for the Jazz. No big holes. I think a lot of people want to complain about the Jazz's defense in the sense that they don't have kind of those perimeter defenders, which I 100% agree with. I think if they can maybe build up their defense a little bit more, so if Clarkson and Donovan Mitchell can really up their defense, that would be great to see. I think there are times where those 2 players specifically are maybe a little too lax on the defensive end and maybe exert too much energy on offense and, all that stuff. Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic don't really scare me as an opponent as far as okay, we got to make sure we can game plan against them defensively, or offensively, I should say, because they're not stopping anybody one-on-one or even really containing somebody one-on-one. Royce is good, but he's a little short, so on these taller superstars like Kevin Durant, no, it's not going to happen. So, there is a little bit of a perimeter defense issue with the Jazz. However, they play this defense where they're going to shove everybody to Rudy Gobert, and they're going to basically say, we're going to force you to take a really bad shot every single possession. And if you're not taking a bad shot, and if you're going to get a shot at the rim, then you're going to have to, meet Rudy, and it's probably not going to happen. Probably not going to work out well. So good stuff. Fully anticipate that there'll be another team that will be back in the top 5 of offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency this year. And so with that being said, that comes to our Las Vegas win total projection, which is 53 for the Jazz. I think the Jazz do better than this. I think there is a real possibility that they're pushing for 57 wins. I would probably bet 55, but 53 is the over and under, and I would slam the over because I think this team is going to be another really good regular season team, be able to get a lot of good wins and go chase that 1 seed again. I think they're in good position to do so. Now, I'm talking about them right now because I have them as my 2 seed, which I think is a total, realistic situation for them to be in. Them getting the number 2 seed in the West is totally attainable. I think they're better than the Lakers in the regular season. I think they're healthier than the other 2 teams in the West kind of next. And Dallas is just such a big question mark. So I will take Utah at my number 2 spot for the Western Conference. And that about does it for this video. If you like the takes, comment. If you enjoy them, subscribe. We're going to be doing one more video today about the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference and talk about kind of the outlook for that team because it's a little bit interesting. So go check it out whenever.